When I'm out giving presentations on LinkedIn for advisors, there is one question I get all the time, and that is, what should I be doing on LinkedIn every day? And I usually, go through a lot of different iterations of things they can do. But I thought in this webinar Wednesday, what we would do is actually break that down. And we're going to develop a 10-minute LinkedIn routine. It might take longer than 10 minutes at first, but once you get the hang of it, once you have this routine down, it'll be quick and easy to do, and it's going to be an efficient use of your time. When you think about the marketing activities that are high impact in today's environment, from our research on affluent investors and financial advisors, those activities are getting introductions, building relationships with centers of influence, getting more referrals, general networking. And when you think about those, what LinkedIn does is it kind of overlays on top of all of them. So LinkedIn is not a sales tool, but it's a tool that's going to help you build deeper relationships and eventually make the sale. It's just a tool like anything else. So how we approach it definitely matters. Now, as you're thinking about using social media and LinkedIn, probably one of the biggest misconceptions is that it can be a waste of time. Well, and truthfully, there's some truth behind that misconception, because some people do waste time on here if you're not using this stuff the right way. So if you're dabbling and you're on here, you're spending hours on LinkedIn, kind of just rooting around and clicking here and there, yeah, that's wasting time. But if we can come up with an efficient routine, something we can do on a daily basis, then we're using our time efficiently, effectively, we're being smart with it. And that's what I'm going to share with you today. I'm going to walk through 10 different things you can do every single day on LinkedIn. And again, it's going to take some more time at first, but eventually you'll get the hang of it. Now, step one is the obvious, and that is every day you want to check your inbox, notifications, and requests to connect on LinkedIn. You're going to notice that in the upper right-hand corner, and your eyes are going to be drawn to these little red notifications, so you're not going to miss that. But treat this like you would treat your email. Every single day you want to log in and respond. If someone's commenting on your articles that you're posting, well, you want to know about that. If someone's inviting you to connect, you want to know about that. So that is hands down, step one of this routine. Step two is to review LinkedIn Pulse. Now, what LinkedIn Pulse is basically a personalized news feed with articles that are relevant to you and your network. And you just want to take a look at this because some of them are interesting to you. And if you wanted to share some of these, it might be a good idea to push them out to your existing network. We're always looking for content that we can curate from other sources, and Pulse is a great way to do that. And you can also go into Pulse and you can customize the types of articles that are of most interest to you. Step three is to review your home newsfeed. So right below Pulse, you're going to have a list of all the activity that's going on amongst your connection base. And what we're doing here, you just want to scroll through this quickly, and you're looking for ways that you can interact with people. I wrote an article a while back for wealthmanagement.com called Narcissism is a Social Media Killer. And the concept behind that is that if all you do is talk about yourself, you're just pushing out content and you're not interacting or engaging with your connections, well, people are eventually becoming numb to your own message. But instead, if you can come up with ways to interact with them first, and truthfully, I fell victim to this when I was first using LinkedIn. I would be pushing out content and no one would interact with me. Then I started reviewing my home feed on a regular basis and looking for ways that I can add a comment here, like this post, congratulate them that they were just had their 10-year work anniversary. If they have new connections, I want to take note of that too. If they're recently recommended or endorsed by someone, I want to take a note of that too. Reason being is that if I see that they're connecting with someone new and that's someone I want to meet, it's a great time to ask for an introduction. If I notice they were endorsed or recommended by someone, I know that they have a good relationship and good rapport. What I'm trying to do here is gauge relationships, but also stimulate overall engagement. Go through your newsfeed, look for ways to interact with your connections. Now, the fourth best practice is to peruse your top groups. Now, with LinkedIn, you can join up to 50 groups on LinkedIn. And with a quick routine like this, we're not trying to go through all of those 50 groups or however many groups you're a part of. But pick your top 2 or 3 groups. And maybe these are groups that you have prospects within. Maybe they're groups that are location-based groups, so they have a local presence in your area. Maybe these are groups that you just get a lot of good ideas from. But peruse your top groups. Go through there, see new posts, look for opportunities to add to a conversation, look for opportunities to direct message someone through LinkedIn if they post of something of interest. Look for opportunities to build new connections. And again, also look for opportunities to get face-to-face in your community. Some groups post about events that are going on, whether it's they're announcing a fundraising event that's going on or whatever it might be. Look for that kind of stuff. And that, 2 or 3 groups that are your top groups, just go through them, on a daily basis and see what you can find. Now, the 5th best practice here in terms of building your routine is touching base with a current connection. It's so easy to let your connections become stale on LinkedIn. We are convinced that the tribe, the connection base that you build on LinkedIn will be one of your biggest business assets going forward. You're basically collecting all your best contacts into one centralized place, which is LinkedIn. So you don't want any of them to go stale. So a best practice is to reach out and just touch base with a connection that you haven't spoken with in a while. And LinkedIn will make this really, it makes it so easy to do, right? Go to their profile, send them a quick message. Hey, hope you're doing well. We need to get together for lunch sometime soon. I'm just trying to stay in contact and nurture these relationships, especially relationships that go dormant. There's actually a lot of research that shows that dormant relationships, that there's a ton of opportunity for sales professionals within dormant relationships, because all you have to really do is you already have that personal relationship there. You just have to rekindle it a little bit. So look for ways to touch base with one connection every day that's gone stale. The 6th best practice here is to gain first value advantage with a connection. That's a term that we've coined here, first value advantage. And what that basically means is that, networking in itself is all about leverage, right? And if I add value to you first, if I add value to one of my connections first, then I have leverage. And then when I circle back and ask for an introduction to someone or a networking support or whatever it is, that law of reciprocity kicks in. Just generally speaking, people who help others are helped in return. That's the idea here. So every day, think about how you can add value to one of your key connections, whether it's a top client, a center of influence, a prospect, just someone in the community that you're connected to, and reach out to them and see, it depends upon what they value. Like for this example, I just quickly said, hey, Carl, I built a robust network on LinkedIn. If I can ever introduce you to any of my connections, please let me know. I'm happy to help. It's just a networking support. It's a nice gesture. Maybe I'm sending them an article or white paper. Maybe I'm offering to introduce them to someone specifically who I think would be of value for them to meet. Maybe I am taking them out to lunch, right? And that's kind of a way of giving as well. It's positioning yourself as a giver. Every day, look for ways to do it. And again, when you help others and you start actually showing that you care about others, the funny thing is that people show that they care about you in return. So do this every day. It can actually be really a rewarding experience, and do it without the expectation that you're going to get something in return. But remember that, look, you're adding value. You're gaining that first value advantage with each connection. Number 7 here is finding a new connection. Look, that's the purpose. That's the reason that we're on LinkedIn in the first place, is we want to build out a robust network on LinkedIn. You always want to grow quality connections. People ask us all the time, should I focus on building quality or quantity connections? Well, the truth is you kind of need a combination of both. If you only have 20 connections on LinkedIn and they really aren't, they're all great quality, but you only have 20, it's not going to get you that far. But if you have 500 plus connections that you don't even really know well, they may not get you that far either. So we need a good combination. There's a study by Harvard that basically said that the neocortex of your brain can only sustain a network of about 150 or so connections, meaning that you can only build real relationships with about 150 people. Now, I'm not saying that you should only have 150 connections on LinkedIn, but keep that in mind. We're trying to build real world relationships here. because ultimately we want to take these offline as well. We want to use it to drive new business. But find a new connection every day. Leverage this people you may know feature on LinkedIn. I love it. Their algorithm is fantastic, and they'll pop up people that you totally forgot about, that you used to know from a former life, right? Look to connect with one new person every day. And then the other thing is using tools like Card Munch. You can see the app here on the right-hand side. Card Munch is a great tool if you're out physically networking in the real world with people. You can actually snap a photo of someone's business card with Card Munch, which is a free app, by the way, and then it will ask that person to connect on LinkedIn. Make it a habit. Connect your real world, networking and your online networking. Next, we want to share an update. And sharing an update is posting. It's being relevant. It's top of mind. It's awareness. If you can post every day, fantastic. If you can only post 3 times a week, that's okay as well. But you're trying to put your face in front of people, and it's also positioning you as an expert. So think about what's your theme when you're posting. What do you post about in particular? Is it about 401k plans, right? Is it about financial planning? Is it about the common concerns with retirement? Whatever it is, think about your theme and post to position yourself as an expert in that particular area. I try to post every day. If any of you are connected with me, you'll notice I post multiple times a day. But if you're posting every day, you're putting something out. People are seeing you, and they're thinking about you, and that's what you're trying to do. And ultimately, you love people to engage with you, to like your comments, to spread it to their connection base, to comment on it. But start sharing. If you have compliance approved posts through your firm, use those posts for now, and try and schedule them out so that you have a consistent presence on LinkedIn. And when it comes to posting and sharing stuff that's very shareable, you want to keep it kind of short, simple, and basically I call it snackable. And it also needs to be relevant. So it needs to be relevant to your connection base, things that they would actually care about. And again, you're positioning yourself as an expert, and you can see that I posted an article here recently on a 10-minute LinkedIn routine, very similar to today's topic. Next, we want to find an introduction opportunity on LinkedIn. When we research what we call social media influencers amongst advisors, really the advisors who are bringing in business with social networks, one of the top ways they do this is introductions with LinkedIn, hands down. Right now, when you think about asking for an introduction, 26% of advisors say that they got an introduction through LinkedIn by picking up the phone, identifying someone that one of their connections is connected to, having a conversation, and asking to be introduced. Only 5% of advisors have successfully gotten an introduction by using the Get Introduced button on LinkedIn. So it might be tempting to, when you're finding introduction opportunities, to use the medium, to use LinkedIn to ask for that introduction. But statistically speaking, we know it's going to be more effective if you pick up the phone, have a conversation. I have a conversation with my client, Kathy, about people she's connected to that I noticed that look of interest, and what would be the best way to personally introduce me to those people. A great way to do this is when you go to someone's connection base, you'll scroll down on their profile. You can run what's called a connection search. This is just a quick search. You'll notice in the upper right-hand corner, I put the word owner. This is a keyword search within their connection base. Once I run that search, I'll actually get an option to run more advanced searches within their connection base as well. It's just, to me, LinkedIn does such a good job of helping you understand the relationship between people you currently know, people that you want to know, which is going to lead to more introductions, which we know from our affluent research, the number one way an affluent investor selects a financial advisor, number one was I was introduced by another professional. Number two, I was introduced by a family member. Number three, I was introduced by a friend. So it's that word of mouth influence. And that's why LinkedIn is so powerful. This is one-to-one type marketing. And if you're doing this every day, you're trying to find an introduction opportunity, then you're moving in the right direction. Next, we want to run an advanced search on LinkedIn. So start thinking about your ideal client profile in LinkedIn searchable terms. So what I mean by that is, map out your ideal client profile based on certain keywords that show up on someone's profile, by the title that they hold at a company, by a particular company they work for, maybe a school they went to if you want to get that specific, but also the postal code. Are they within a 50-mile radius of you, 100-mile radius? And you can run those types of searches. Whether you're looking for physicians, business owners, money in motion, executives at a particular company, if you think about your ideal client profile in LinkedIn searchable terms, we can absolutely pinpoint them with an advanced search. And here's the last kind of bonus best practice in terms of your routine, and that's have a conversation about LinkedIn. If you can have a conversation about LinkedIn every single day, then you're really helping this O2O conversion. I call it the online to offline conversion. That is the hardest part of this process, right? You're finding people on LinkedIn, you're seeing prospects on there, and you want to meet them face to face, because we know that if we want to drive real business benefit, we have to get face to face. We have to build rapport. They have to like, trust, respect us, all that jazz. So look to have a conversation about it. That is the way to segue into it. Talk to centers of influence about how they're using LinkedIn. Offer to introduce them to people. Talk to your clients. Make it part of your review meeting agenda that, hey, we're trying to get more involved in social media, Mr. and Mrs. Client. One thing that we're using is LinkedIn. We found it very valuable to keep up-to-date information. Have you ever thought about creating an account, or do you have an account? Or I know we're connected. How do you use it? Do you use it often? Have conversations. That's going to help you transition these into real world opportunities. Now, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that we do social media coaching as well. So hopefully, based on today's webinar, you got an idea of a routine that you can go through every single day. We do coaching on, building your LinkedIn brand, building your network, getting more introductions, walking through you a step-by-step process for doing that, running advanced searches, using Boolean, all that stuff. If you want someone to guide you through that process step by step, just call our office or go to oechsli.com/social media to get more information on it. It's a 3-month program. We'll get you looking like a class act on social media, and we'll show you how to use it to actually bring in new clients.